I love the hair flip. All right, perfect. I wish I had hair to do it. I'm just jealous. All right,
Let's all
ladies and
imagine
gentlemen.
Cory having a beautiful long Fabio mane. Ah,
Yeah, let me pull up a
beautiful.
picture from 1999. All right, shall we move into our next segment here? I've got a good one
We
for us here.
shall.
This is very timely, very timely. Now, by
Mm,
the time this video is released to the public, maybe this won't be such a big deal anymore. So hopefully, well, not hopefully it is, because I don't want bad things to be happening in the marketplace. But regardless, I think it's very timely, and it will be something that is relevant beyond what is the big news right now, which is tariffs. Now,
yeah.
Michael, we already agreed this will not get political, and if you get political in the
Yes.
comments, we will not answer. We are not getting
Yeah.
political. That is not the point or the scope of this podcast. We are just talking about tariffs and anything globally or in the marketplace that's going to affect client relationships and
Yeah.
trying to manage those
Yeah.
relationships. What are some strategies? What are ways that we think about approaching those conversations when inevitably there's some instability, there's a lot of unknowns in the greater ecosystem, and clients start considering, hey, should we pull back some spend here? Should
Yeah.
we be doing things differently? Michael, this is very, very relevant. It's top of everybody's mind if you're looking at investing, you're looking at the marketplace. Is this something that you're hearing from clients just yet? Or are you expecting it anytime soon?
Starting to hear about it, and this is my opinion on Trump. No, I'm joking. No, I think what the reality is, we've got to look at these times, these economic times, that it is cyclical and it happens more and more and more as you get older because you realize it's cyclical. And we had this in 2020 called COVID. And once again, it's not a political thing there, but we saw how much business shifted there. And very gratefully, we can all say, for the better for most businesses. They went digital, e-commerce businesses thrived. A lot of businesses were able to shift to being digital. So with all market changes, there's always market opportunities for businesses and people that adjust. Now, in terms of tariffs, it's basically a tax, and no additional tax is ever good. So at least I'm a free market thinker. So I think in terms of how I've been speaking to clients about it who import goods from China to the US, they are considered they're deeply thinking about it. The conversations I've had have been on more of the light side yet so far, but I think to recognize at the end of the day, there is always a flow and effect, and someone's paying the bill at the end of the day, and it will be the clients, and they need to structure ways to think about how to avoid it. And some of the strategies we've even talked about is temporarily just pivoting ad spend or even markets just to going to different countries, actually using it as an exploration time to go, maybe we need to hit up other markets whilst these tariffs of 10, 20, 50, 100% are being slapped on people. Are there opportunities now just to experiment in new countries that we haven't in the past because we've been so locked in on the US?
Right.
And I
Seeing
think
as an
those are the
opportunity.
conversations I've been having, is more exploratory conversations in terms of the actual the real direct stuff, man. I haven't had those combos yet, nor do I want to.
Okay.
Honestly, I want to just
Of course.
put my head in the sand, man.
Well, that's the thing. We're not fortune tellers. We don't have a crystal ball. Nobody does.
Oh,
If they
I
say
do.
they do, they're trying to
I
sell
do.
you
Cory,
something.
Cory.
Boom, right there.
Cory. Chill, bro. Do not speak on my behalf. I have a crystal ball.
Right. Michael's a
Anyway.
wizard. He's the one guy
Yeah.
that will tell you the exact future. But I have been having some of those tough conversations. I mostly work with larger e-commerce, so they are definitely considering, what do
Yes.
we do here? We do all of our manufacturing in China, whatever.
Yeah.
We've already, maybe in years ago they shifted to a different country. Now that country is also being hit with these tariffs. So I think the bigger conversation here, I think that's really, really relevant for PPC specialists is if it comes up where the client says, look, there's a lot of instability. We're really not sure what to do here. Maybe we're limited a little bit on inventory and we're kind of holding off. That's kind of the conversations I'm hearing.
Yeah.
We only have so much inventory for some of our products. We're kind of afraid to reorder these right now, given where things are. Should we maybe just hold off on promoting those products? It is a tough thing. And look, I think a couple of things that come to mind for me is A, you're not their accountant. You are not their logistics specialist.
Yeah.
This is really not for you to get into a deep conversation about the logistics and their business accounting. That's not your job, and it's not
Yeah.
your specialty. I mean, maybe if you went to school for that, and that's a part of your
Yeah.
service
This is really
offerings,
important,
great.
everyone. Let's just take a step back. You should not have an opinion on this. You are not like this is you do not work in supply chain management, fulfillment. Like this is not your role and responsibility. You can be a
Yes.
listening ear, but you are not an advisor. And
Right.
not even that you're not worthy of it. Don't take on that fucking responsibility. Sorry, we need to
Yes.
bleep that out, but just
No.
do not take on that
Yeah.
responsibility. It is not
Yes.
worth it. It's not worth it. And you don't even know anything about it. Don't need to speculate. This is their
Exactly.
business. It's their
I
child.
Yes, it is a very good point. I'm really glad that you emphasize that, because it's just, I think we can do that. We've talked about this before with scope creep, especially when the channels that you're managing for the client, they're a big part and a big chunk of new business for the clients, or repeat business for the clients. And in that case, we feel this large ownership and responsibility over general business results. But in cases like this, if the client is directly asking you these questions, should we or should we not, with supply chain management, that is not like, I can give you my opinion on how it's affected past data for paid search or for marketing as a whole, if that's what I'm doing. But to tell you as the business owner what to do in this case, it is totally not appropriate. It's like giving legal advice when you're not a lawyer, or when you're not a trained attorney, you're not licensed. Don't be giving out legal advice, Michael.
Yeah,
I'm just kidding. No, but really, I mean, it's just not our place. We're marketers. That's what we do best.
And this is where, because of the elements of the unknown, and people will fairly go, what are your other clients doing? And that's the thing. And that's the question that tends to come up, rather than like, this is a problem. What do you think? It's like, what are your other clients doing? And then you've just got to be real, where you just like, look, I ain't talking to them about this. Like, this is not an area. Like, I know this does affect, and it has a flow and effect, but the advertising will always reflect the business decisions. Like, the advertising is not going to tell the market story necessarily. Like, the market will be influenced like the accounts, but the business influence the account more than the market does. And my cousin works for a big security hardware company, and even about, I think it would have been like 9 months ago, the company just like their manufacturer in China like got blacklisted in America because they were also selling parts to like Russia that were going to like the war in the Ukraine. It was like hectic. So then he's working supply chain management, and that was like a thing because they got blacklisted, and then like millions of dollars could like all this stock, like blah, blah, blah. But now he's going, and this is a guy who's paid a lot of money for this stuff, and now he's having to deal with like supply chain management between Australia and the US, Australia, China, and US for this stuff. And it's like, dude, this guy's a really smart dude, and he's struggling hard with it. Us too, dudes, we're pretty smart, but we're smart with what we do. Like, asking us this is like asking us to like run like the best restaurant in the world and cooking the meal at the same time and being like running the management team. It's like it's a very different skill, and just because it's affecting our clients does not necessarily mean we have any sort of opinion or consulting advice that's of any value. What I'm trying to say is, don't give advice, and don't feel the pressure to give any advice, because it's you can't. It's actually just like it's not worth dying on that hill.
Yes, I agree.
Just be honest. You just got to be honest.
Yep. And again, if it's a very specific question, like, okay, do you think we should pull back budgets for PPC? Okay, that's a good question. We can get into that, right? And we can take some time offline. We don't want to be doing that real time. We take it offline. We'll do the analysis to assess, okay, in roughly other times where we've taken this much spend out because of maybe market circumstances, if you have data going back to 2020, what happened? What happened in brand awareness? What happened in cross channels? What happened to our Amazon sales? What happened to our sales team when we did that? Just really dig into it. If you're getting paid to do all those things and you have those skill sets to do it, okay, that's a very specific question. But if they're just generally asking you, hey, what do you think of these tariffs? And do you think we should stop offering this product? That is not your place to talk about it. So anyway, so we got that covered.
Yeah. Unless you watch Fox News. Yeah. Unless you watch Fox News and like you're across, and CNBC, like you're across it all. Like you've got a doctorate in this stuff now.
Sure, if you're like an economist too, yeah, sure.
No,
Okay, you
just
can
like
tell.
people like us, just like, yeah, just like
Oh.
what us two, just watching Fox News and CNBC and CNN, and then we're just, yeah, we're masters. We're some Notre Dame future teller.
So Michael, so let's assume that's not the conversation, and now it's okay. We actually talked to someone that knows what they're doing in that
Yep.
regard, and they're telling us we've got to cut spends. Okay, so what if it's the client is coming to you and they're saying, all right, we are thinking about we think we need to cut spends here because of market conditions, because there's a lot of fear. We're not really sure whether it's a good time to reorder or re-up on inventory,
Mm.
etc. What are some of the keys that you think are that you should bring into that conversation ready to go as a person that offers marketing?
I think it always starts and ends with questions. So just really drilling down, what specifically did this advisor say? What
Yep.
made them say that? Like, what have they shown you that gives you that confidence level? So, like, what have they said,
Mm-hmm.
and what's like the confidence level of it? And then even just go, well, if you are thinking about pulling back spend, how much intuitive, like how much were you thinking, or how much was advised? Is it
Mm-hmm.
80%, 20%, 10%, 50%? Like, what does it look like? And then just like asking questions, just to kind of ping and just kind of get more a clearer vision of what that looks like. Because if someone just comes to you like, oh yeah, we've been told to pull the budgets down, you might go, okay, well maybe we pull it down by 20% and buy on these campaigns, because they're underperforming, rather than going actually getting all that business information and going, oh, like I actually don't think we should pull it back. Because then once you've got that with your expertise in the ad, you'd be like, guys, you actually should be continuing to run the ads, because you need, like, whilst I understand that your inventory levels is based on your business, you still need that cash flow coming in. So like,
Right.
and then understanding that like these things may actually have a negative business impact because it'll actually affect their cash flow. Like, it's not
Mm-hmm.
just about like holding inventory. Like, when you're holding inventory, you're not making money. They're in business of making money. So it's like, do they go, okay, maybe we stop promoting on certain products because we know that it will naturally sell organically and we don't need to be pushing any ad spend there, not even to save money, but to actually just like lower the sales flow of that, versus then they might have other products that are in high stock and that don't usually sell. And then it's more about, could you shift the efforts towards products rather than just the whole business pulling it down, going, what parts of the business don't need additional support and can we pull back, and what parts of the business you could
Trim
just
the fat.
reallocate and primary focus. But it's just like being flexible. It always starts with
Yeah.
questions about understanding the context of the business, what information they've been given, the validity of it, the confidence level of it, and then starting to have that creative conversation. And it's a collaborative conversation as well. It's not just like,
Right.
here's my opinion, the client told me this. It's like, it really is like experts will listen and ask a lot of questions and then be direct with their responses.
Yeah, I was just going to go there. I think it's so natural to get defensive. Again, as a marketer, when you get these things, you got to focus on being strategic here.
Yeah.
It's you got to monitor how you're responding. This isn't personal. Like they're just worried about their business, and if it was your business, you would feel the same way. Like I
Yeah,
don't know
man.
if we should spend more, should we spend less? It's a tough question, and there is no perfect answers, and that's the reality. So try not to get defensive. I know it's natural to do that. They're not coming after you. They're not saying we expect your performance to not be able to, like, your abilities not to be able to handle these fluctuations. It's not that, unless they're telling you that. It's probably just that they're insecure about the marketplace and how that's going to
Yeah.
impact their business. So I think that's really step one, is just like making sure you're acknowledging and understanding the situation and letting them know this isn't that crazy. Like, I'm getting this from other clients. It's normal to feel that way. Like
Yeah,
it's
man.
understandable that you're feeling that way. I agree. That's step number one. And
Clarity
ask questions. Yeah.
Clarity from communications equals confidence. What you're trying to do is build up their confidence level, because their confidence levels are low. That's why they're asking these questions. And this is naturally turning to the point of e-commerce, because that's the element of selling products. But then we can move beyond that. It's like, how is these affecting service-based businesses? So, for example,
Yeah.
I've got one private wealth client and one crypto fund client. It's the biggest crypto fund in Australia, the top performing and biggest crypto fund in Australia. They have pulled their ad spend budget down like significantly, like to literally like $1,000 a month, because the crypto markets and the uncertainty in the market is just like cooked. Like, and we're all seeing that. So like, because of that, they've pulled back a lot. They've turned off Google ads and we're just running some meta ads just for brand awareness.
Mm-hmm.
But then the business that actually referred them to us is a private wealth fund who actually uses this crypto fund to invest like maybe 5% of their clients' money to. This private wealth fund is having a boom at the moment because when the market is uncertain with the like tariffs going up, it means that like stocks will go down because the uncertainty, the costs, blah, blah, blah. I just had a call with them yesterday. Like one of the directors is a very dear friend of mine, but we catch up like maybe once every month, go for coffee, and we barely talk about work stuff because it's just ticking along. But he just called me yesterday because I messaged him like, hey man, the markets are like hot at the moment, hot for them because when the market's horrible, private wealth and private equity goes quite well. And within like 24 hours, like literally, sorry, within like 5 hours, we have new ads live and new messaging, new imagery, just really focus on their market shifted. And even for their market, he was like, oh yeah, dude, we got like a $3 million client and they signed within 21 days. And we've got a $20 million client looking to sign from the ads. And because the market's so volatile at the moment in that way, because of the tariffs, because of the stock market, his business is a time to, like they're thriving now because when uncertainty happens for them, people want to park their money in more stable but like non-affected by the public sector. And that's the thing is like moves beyond just the e-commerce aspect of advertising, but it can move into the service-based aspect, especially if you're working with clients that require either wealth management or if they're doing, they're borrowing money, because then they
B2B, right? Yeah.
Yeah, B2B, but B2C, if like
Sure.
they're needing to
B2C
take out
too.
like short-term loans to like fund, buying products or services, like if they're, because of the stock markets, because of the tariffs, then it starts to dribble of, is the consumer confidence level low? Therefore, they're not going to purchase. Therefore, I've taken on more debt to buy stuff, which the sales cycle might go from 30 days now to 90 days. So it does move just beyond that e-commerce aspect of tariffs coming to America, but the tariffs, what they're causing to the public sector of shares, and then how the share markets affect like the whole market in general. This is me being really nerdy because I think about this stuff way more than I think about advertising.
I think it's all very relevant. Again, it goes back to asking the right questions and understanding, and try to be proactive if you can. Again, you're not trying to start the conversation about supply chain management, but if you want to be a true business partner, that's what Michael and I pride ourselves on. We're not just PPC account media buyers, right? We're business partners. We want your business to be successful. Therefore, usually we're going to go above and beyond within the scope of the contract to make sure we get good results. So I would recommend, if you can, try to get a little bit ahead of it. If you feel like this thing that's going on in the marketplace right now, the tariffs, whatever, is relevant for the business, and there might be concerns for them and their products or services, reach out, say, hey, look, I know things are not great right now, but performance is great or performance is suffering, and I think maybe there is some contribution of there, some attribution of that coming from what's happening in the marketplace. Try to get ahead of it. You don't want to be shocked and surprised on the reporting call that they all of a sudden want to reduce spends. That shouldn't be something that you're finding out in your monthly reporting call. They would hopefully be able to reach out to you ahead of time, give you a heads up they're thinking about it so that you can analyze the data. And last thing, real quick, or last point I want to make on that is just look inside your account. If you have data going back to 2020, it's going to be your most relevant data set around what we're seeing now in the marketplaces, in particular in the US. See if CPCs and CPMs went down when everything started crashing, because that might indicate, or might lean a little bit more heavily, or at least give you some weight towards the idea that maybe we want to keep spends the same, or maybe even accelerate them, because we want to take advantage of this market opportunity where everyone else is fearful. Therefore, the auctions are less competitive.
There we go.
We can grab market share. There's opportunity in these spots, so it's also something to look into.
Mate, amazing.